If you follow me on my social media, which you definitely should, you know I take a lot of pictures with my phone. Nevertheless, I had never been quite convinced that smartphone lenses could actually be useful, until I tried my first set. I was blown away by the possibilities created by such a small package, so I got another one. This video is going to be partially a review, partially a comparison, but also my experience with them and why I think that everyone taking pictures with their phones should have at least one set of these. So the two sets I'm going to show you in this video are from MPOW and Chowtronics, and I'll have a link to the exact models down in the description. The first goes for about 30 bucks, while the second one for about half of that, just to get an idea of how much you can spend for a set of these. The MPOW one comes in a two-piece design that looks pretty incredible for the price, resembling the shape of a real camera lens. Actually, it even sports the same filter size as the kit lens of my G7, which is awesome. On the other hand, the Chowtronics kit comes in two subsets, for a total of 3 lenses. Each of the two sets offers a smartphone mount and a carrying pouch, with the Chowtronics one ending a microfiber cloth as well. Leaving design and accessories aside, what can you actually do with these? The MPOW set offers a macro lens and a fisheye lens, while the Chowtronics one also includes a wide-angle lens. Admittedly, the fisheye is a quite strong stylistic choice, so that ended up being the least used for me. Nevertheless, if you're interested in that kind of photos, I can tell you that the field of view is incredibly wide. However, if you're into wide-angle photos, the lens in the Chowtronics kit doesn't disappoint either, and the visible distortion at the edges is not too difficult to fix in post. The most interesting part for me, however, was hands down the macro capabilities, so let's talk about those. The most noticeable difference is that the Chowtronics kit allows you to get much closer to the subject. Is that an advantage? As always, it depends. On one hand, it's super cool to get that close to some subjects, as you can get unbelievable levels of detail. On the other, the lack of control over the aperture and the fact that you most probably won't be shooting on a tripod mean that you'll need to take a bigger number of pictures to get a stable shot with what you wanted in focus. Also, being so close to the subject often results in a more severe distortion at the edges, which is more or less visible depending on the type of subject you're shooting. All of these problems are much less prominent on the MPOW kit, which doesn't allow you to zoom in quite as much, but will likely result in easier photos overall. However, since much of this comes down to personal preference, I took some sample photos, so take a look. So, do I think they're worth the price? For me, absolutely. They're awesome under many points of view, and they widen quite a bit the range of possibilities as for smartphone photography. Are they perfect? Not at all, but if you're looking for a perfect image from sub $50 smartphone lenses, you're missing the point. Of course, there are more high-end sets on the market, but if you, like me, just want to experiment a bit with your smartphone camera for something more than selfies, these are the way to go.